rely on teraflops as an absolute indicator of performance.
All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the stream. Welcome if you're new. Appreciate you guys joining me today, and appreciate you waiting patiently, as always, for the intro to finish up there. Hope everybody is doing well today. Sorry, just getting a couple things sorted here. Yeah, I see some people asking, is it press X or is it press cross? Well, I don't even know if it's here to stay. I'm just testing it out. No, they're not a new camera, just a new angle. Maybe a bit too close though. But I don't know. I mean, I know that PlayStation calls it cross, you know. That's what they do. Like that was confirmed that the X button is actually called the cross button. So it's like we are PlayStation focused. So on the most technical level, it would be press cross. But we're going to, everybody's going to call it press X, right? Like who says press the cross button? Nobody says that. Everybody says press the X button. So, but I don't know if it's here to stay. Unknown says not. It's called the X button. I don't know if we're going to continue with the press X podcast name or the press cross podcast name. I'm just kind of testing it out. I don't know what exactly I'm looking for. I don't know. It's just because sometimes, like, I've been making videos on and doing streams within like hours of one another. And I guess I just kind of felt like maybe I need to do something to kind of separate them a little bit more, but maybe not. I don't know. So I'll compare the results. And as of right now, it's looking like it doesn't make any difference. But I do get worried too. Like, I don't know how much people relied on like the thumbnails with the 3 bullet points to know what topics we're going to talk about. So maybe people did find that more valuable or helpful. Call this the Press B podcast for the bots. The Press X, and then in like parentheses, box podcast, I don't know how much we'll be talking about Xbox today. I don't know if they're going to, I mean, they might pop up, but the main topic of discussion for today is going to have to do with Sony's, at least to me, it seems like there's a change in plan. At least, well, I mean, I don't know. Some people might not see it as significant, but I see it as significant. I do. There seems to have been a change in plan with Sony's approach for their live service strategy. And I want to go over this with you guys because it's something that I don't know. I guess I just wasn't necessarily expecting from Sony. And it seems to confirm that Sony has zero plans to stop or slow down with live service. And I think that might upset some people, but I think what they're doing, I'll go over the details with you, and I'm trying like not to get ahead of myself here. I have a couple things I want to say about what they're doing, and why I think it might not be the smartest idea, but at the same time, I don't know that I can blame them at this point. But where's Boss? I think he's actually sleeping over there. Speaking of Boss, guys, appreciate you joining me today. Before we dive further into this conversation and into any of these topics we're going to talk about today, I want to just ask you to please hit that like button to help the stream. And I want to let you guys know that you guys fan fund the channel, all right? You're the sponsors of the channel. I'm only able to do this because you make it possible. So if it's within your means and you want to, please consider supporting the channel directly. Become a member. Gift memberships. If we hit 25 members today, we'll feed Boss. We'll feed the beast. We'll give him some treats. We did it yesterday. He was very happy. You guys want to make that happen again, by all means. Also consider donating a super chat. And there's a direct donation link pinned at the top of the chat as well. So these are the ways in which you can support the content, the channel, and the community, and the cats. But let's go over this information here. So let me pull this up. All right. So this is being reported by Push Square, and they say there's been little mention of the Sony Interactive Entertainment Live Service Center of Excellence since Sony acquired Destiny 2 team Bungie a few years ago. but it still sounds like the initiative is going ahead in some form. Bridget O'Neill, a lead figure at Bungie Creative Studios, has shared her team will be joining PlayStation to build the foundation for a creative team that can support all PlayStation live service games. Now, this is significant, I think, for a few reasons here. Number one, the fact that this is a plan that Sony had in place for Bungie pretty much when they first acquired them. There was this plan where it's like, listen, we want to have, I think they called it the Sony Interactive Entertainment live service. They have it listed here. So, Live Service Center of Excellence. It's a weird name, but pretty much what it's supposed to be is it's supposed to be expertise from Bungie being, I guess, more directly involved with PlayStation and with Sony and their studios. And it's really interesting to be getting this information and to be hearing about this, because I would have thought that after everything that had happened with Bungie and the way the situation had played out, that this is something they would have abandoned. It says here, that Bridget O'Neill on Twitter says, new job plus announcement. I'm taking on a new role as Senior Director of Creative at PlayStation Studios, but I'm not leaving Bungie. Bungie Creative Studios is joining PlayStation to build the foundation for a creative team that can support all PlayStation live service games. Now, there's quite a bit to chew on here with that announcement. She says, this opportunity to share our experience working on Bungie titles with other studios that are building live service games is so exciting. Live service is hard and comes with a unique set of challenges. So together, we will be able to give a jump start on development for new games. Somebody says, curious, how does this impact your ability to work on Destiny and Marathon? I have to imagine that it means spending less time on those games. Bridget says, everyone on our team who is dedicated to Destiny 2 or Marathon will remain dedicated. As we take on new projects, we will build up the team or share with people already at PlayStation Studios who are interested in trying something new. So there is something that we need to highlight here that I think is possibly the most critical thing. They are not just taking the team from Bungie necessarily and just moving them over entirely. They're taking this one individual and making her in charge, and she says she's still working for Bungie, but she's going to be directly integrated into PlayStation Studios. And what she's going to do is build a team. And this team, whatever this live service team is the concept of it and the idea of it is very fascinating to me, because it tells me a couple of things. It tells me that Sony still has faith in Bungie. And I'm not so sure that that's the wisest decision, but at the same time, I don't know that I can really be too harsh on Sony here, because they did pay $3.6 billion. Ahoy Tyler says, MBG, it's not just one person. Multiple people are moving over. It sounds like they're basically bringing enough people over to kind of get started. But the way I'm interpreting this, the way I'm reading this, is that they're still going to be like bringing on new people. They're going to be hiring new people. They're going to be building this team out. Like, they're going to have enough people to just kind of start, but they're going to really start building from this point. That's my take on it anyway. So they're not everybody that's involved with this team at Bungie. I don't think every single one of them is moving over and just now being integrated into PlayStation. And also, I do not think this is I don't think this has anything to do with Jason Blundell's studio that's working on Project Gummy Bears. I thought when I originally read this that that's what this was, but it seems to be something else entirely. Digital Dude 25 with a super chat says, Ghost of Yotei can now be wishlisted on PS5 day one. Fire. I did see somebody else point that out, Digital Dude. I guess it just went up for wish listing. I guess that's something that just occurred. I do wonder if we're gonna hear about it more at the Game Awards potentially. But yeah, man, I'm stoked for Ghost of Yotei as well. I want to see more. I want to see more. I like that first trailer they showed. I want to see some gameplay. I want to get some story beats. I mean, the game's coming next year, assuming it doesn't get delayed. So I wouldn't be surprised if they actually plan to kind of show more of Ghost of Yotei sooner than we think. But Digital Dude, thank you for the super chat, man. Whose fall will be worse in hindsight, Xbox or PlayStation? I don't know. Well, continuing with what I was saying, you know, not only does this confirm that Sony they still have faith in Bungie, at least people working at Bungie. They still believe that Bungie are the ones equipped to lead the live service, initiative. And when I consider the fact that Sony paid $3.6 billion, they paid $3.6 billion for Bungie, like I kind of can't blame them in a sense, where it's like, I mean, they have to do something, right? Like we paid $3.6 billion for this entire team, and we paid that much because we believed that they were experts in their field, like they know what they're doing and they can help us. And I don't know, man. Looking at the way things have played out, it gives me it gives me like a not so great feeling. Like I don't know. I don't know that this is the way to go. I'm not trying to take anything away from Bungie. Maybe Sony identifies something with Bungie where they're like, listen, Bungie, they know how to support a live service game. But the upper management at Bungie does not know how to manage, I don't know, from a more business standpoint. They just don't know how to manage. But then again, when you look at how Sony managed Concord, it's like, I don't know who's worse. I mean, you kind of imagine that like Sony would be looking at Bungie and be like, Bungie, I can't believe this. I can't believe you lost so much money. I can't believe you fell this far. Shame on you. Meanwhile, Sony looking at themselves being like, I can't believe we lost this much money on Concord. That was all us, So I don't know, man. It almost makes me like even more worried in a sense about Sony's live service approach, because I don't know, man. I start to get this sense that they just have no clue what they're doing, even remotely. And I don't know, maybe they really did put everything into Bungie thinking like, listen, we don't know what we're doing, but Bungie knows. They'll lead the way. Like they'll tell us. And the fact that, I mean, look, who do you trust more with future live service games? Do you trust Sony? Do you trust Bungie? Sony seems to trust Bungie. That's why they're still bringing this team over and allowing them to grow a whole dedicated team, right? Because they still believe like Bungie's the one. They're not trying to do that themselves. And maybe, I don't know, maybe that is the smarter way. Pick your poison, maybe? Waylark, you're saying the buck stops with Sony. They bought them. I do agree with that. No, I fully agree, Waylark. Sony is absolutely accountable, or they need to be held accountable. Even though Jim Ryan's not there anymore, like they need to be held accountable because, yeah, man, a lot of people from top to bottom signed off on this Bungie acquisition. A lot of the entirety of Sony backed up this idea of going all in with live service. Mulin, you're saying stop, watch the latest Arc Raiders video. It finally has gameplay. It's The Last of Us Online. Watch it and get hype. They said if Naughty Dog won't do it, we'll do it ourselves. It's short, 30 seconds. All right. I'll keep that in mind, Mulin. I don't know if I'm saying your name correctly, but I'll keep that in mind because I might go check that out maybe when we wrap up this stream. I've been waiting to see gameplay of that title. I expected to see some by now, but that's interesting though. You're saying it's kind of like The Last of Us Online. Yeah, I'll have to check. I'll have to look into this. There's a playtest this week. Okay. Bungie should get in the bin. Wasn't it their expertise that okayed Concord? Well, I'll be honest with you, man. Like, I'm starting to wonder if Sony's live service endeavor ultimately is just going to be a big train wreck and a failure. Because I feel like the further and further away we get from Helldivers 2, the more it seems clear to me that was luck, dude. In that Sony had no idea what they had on their hands. Sony didn't have high expectations for Helldivers. Even Arrowhead. Bro, you can get away from my computer. You're going to turn it off. Even Arrowhead Studios didn't expect the game to do anywhere near that well. So I guess what I'm trying to say is like the investment, the hope of success in live service, Helldivers 2 was not really a part of that. It was a small part of it. But it wasn't like the end all be all. To whereas when we look at everything else that Sony is doing, a heavy push for Concord, a heavy push for buying Haven Studios and Fair Games, a heavy, heavy, heavy push for buying Bungie and going all in with Marathon. Because we can't go wrong with Bungie, right? And when we look at PlayStation's live service roadmap, it looks bleak. It does. And I'm not trying to be a downer necessarily, but I'm just being realistic in that who's excited for Fair Games? I mean, like, really, though? Like, who's, like, thoroughly, like, hyped? Like, Fair Games is going to be my game, bro. That's my go-to game now. I mean, there might be some people that are like, oh, I'll give it a shot. Like, we'll see. And that's fine. I'm in that same boat. Like, okay, let's see. But do I have confidence? Absolutely not. I don't, man. And then, you know, you look at something like Marathon, and I don't know, maybe Marathon will be a surprise success. I would love to see that. I'm not rooting against Marathon. I want to see Bungie succeed. You know, I want to see, I want to get good games. Marathon might be good. It might be great, but everything we've heard so far, it just sounds kind of like, maybe it's not going to be that good, though. Or at the very least, it's going to be underwhelming, right? Like, it's not going to be a big hit, potentially. And this is, I think, what is disturbing about Sony's approach with live service is that it is very obvious that Sony wants a big monolithic hit. Sony wants their own Call of Duty, their own Fortnite, their own GT Online, their own Minecraft, whatever. But they want a game, one game, just one. They want one game to be on that level. And Helldivers for a moment looked like, is this it? But it's safe to say that it wasn't. It's still a big game. It's still a success, but it's not, you know, I'm just going to be real. Like, Helldivers 2 at this point in time, it's not on the same level as the titles I just rattled off. It's not going to have the player base to, and I don't know that it's going to be able to get the updates to sustain that type of player base or to make that kind of money. What Sony wants is something that requires a big, well-oiled machine, all hands on deck. And I don't know that they're going to get that for a myriad of reasons. Waylark, you're saying at this point, Sony should just make a gacha game with characters from their own IPs. They are trash games, but people seem to like them and they make money. I mean, I don't know that I would encourage Sony to do that, but I do see where you're coming from, Waylark. I mean, there is some kind of idea where it's like, guys, yeah, maybe if that's your end goal, like you just need that one game that's going to just keep raking in the money, maybe that's how you do it. Sony sees it. They see the success of Genshin Impact, of Zenless Zone Zero. They see this, and they want that. Dan says, they're not trash. What the F, Waylark? Well, yeah, I mean, people, from what I've heard, like these games are pretty good. Like people do really enjoy them. I just think when people say like it's trash, I think they're talking maybe about the monetization. I'm not too familiar though. I don't know. Zombie Dragon, you're saying, okay, almost all the games you mentioned, they got there by luck, and there's almost nothing else like them, so they were able to take off. That's true. That's true, Zombie Dragon. You're right. And maybe that's the point, right? Maybe the point is you can't really manufacture this, because you're right. Look at Fortnite. How did Fortnite get to where it's at? It was pure luck. Fortnite originally started as a tower defense game, dude. And they saw the success of PUBG and they were like, let's just try this battle royale mode. Let's see what happens. And boom. The rest is history. Minecraft, same thing. Notch had no idea how big that was going to be. GTA Online, same thing. I will say, Rockstar and Take-Two, they did have plans for GTA Online, but they did not expect it to be this. They didn't expect GTA Online to be this juggernaut. Call of Duty, I would say Call of Duty, it ultimately transformed into a live service game. Like Call of Duty seems like it was always meant to be like a constant rotating, new entries all the time. But then it not only did it get new entries over time, but it started to transform into a live service. And this is why, man, I'm sorry, but I will not be able to get over the fact that I think Sony had it, man. I'm going to be honest. I think Sony had it and it slipped through their fingers. I think the game that would have rose to the top, you already know what I'm going to say. The game that would have rose to the top would have been, I think, The Last of Us Online. I really do. I really do think that, man. I think they had a formula. I think they were about to strike gold. And I think Naughty Dog at the last minute was like, we're not doing it. And Jim Ryan was like, you know what? I'm out. I'm telling you, that's what happened, man. John Donuts says the funny thing is they have that with Grand Fate, the Grand Fate mobile game. That's a multi-billion-dollar game. But isn't that, I think you're right. I think Sony has that. But if I'm not mistaken, isn't that like owned by Sony Music or something? Right? Isn't there some kind of situation with that title where it's not actually like PlayStation pretty much has nothing to do with it and it's like completely separate from Sony's actual gaming sector? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I could have swore I read something where it's like it's a bit of a different situation. Firewalk should take it over. The Last of Us would have pulled in billions, dude. I mean, here's the craziest thing to me about The Last of Us multiplayer, man. The craziest thing about that game is it was almost done. I think we were supposed to be playing that game right now. I think the formal reveal was supposed to be at the May showcase in 2023. The beta, potentially, was supposed to be at the end of 2023. And the full reveal, or the full release, I should say, was supposed to be sometime in 2024. And I think by this point, we would be playing the full game. Who knows? We would have been playing season 1. So it was almost done. And on top of that, people who played the game, people who were playtesting the game, and once it was canceled, of course, or announced it was canceled, they were coming out and they were like, dude, this was one of the best games. They were like, this was it. This game was amazing. And I'm not saying I wanted to see Naughty Dog turn into a live service studio, but there's like, I can't help but sit here and feel like there has to be another way. Naughty Dog, maybe you don't become a live service studio, but you make the bones and the foundation and you release it. And from that point forward, the content pipeline, season 1, 2, 3, all the way to season 20 over the next 5 to 8 years is handled by another team. Maybe you create a second Naughty Dog studio, Naughty Dog South or whatever, or North, I don't know, just something. And that's the team. You specifically hire people to run that team. They do the content for... Dude, it's legitimately painful to talk about this because every time I bring this up or I think about it, I think this is dead. Like this died. And I think about all the money, oh, well, maybe that would be too expensive. And I'm like, dude, they could have not bought Firewalk. They could have canceled Concord. Hell, you know what? You could have bought Firewalk and you could have said, yeah, we're not doing Concord. You guys are going to make content for The Last of Us Online. Naughty Dog's going to come over. They're going to show you, they're going to get you up to speed with their engine. They're going to show you how they create. We're going to get familiar with it. And then you guys are going to make the content for, but no, instead it's like, or we could just spend $200 million on Concord. And I think this might be, like, people ask me, like, dude, what, have you given up on Sony? Like, do you not care about Sony anymore? Like, do you not, like, what will it take for you to not believe in Sony or really just kind of get to a point where you're like, I'm just done and I've given up and they've just, Sony's disgusted me. They're finished. They're cooked, The more I ponder this, the more I start to think like this might have been that moment, dude. Because the more I think about it, I'm like, holy shit, somebody, or not even somebody, but multiple people at Sony, maybe the entirety of Sony and their leadership, they decided this thing that we made, that we have, The Last of Us, brutal gameplay loop, violence, intensity. We could have released that. We could have forced Naughty Dog to do that anyway. Maybe Sony could have just said, fuck it. At the very least, they could have said, fuck it, guys, we're going to release this. We're not sure. Like, we're going to have to figure out how we're going to make we made a multiplayer game without a content roadmap yet. We're going to work on that next. So it'll be a little bit later, and you might lose players. But this is the point. This is the point. The point is, if you're worried about losing money, you're worried about losing players, guess what? You lost both with Concord. You lost all your money, and you pissed players off. And you lost players' trust with that game. You say to Naughty Dog, you know what, Naughty Dog? Just release it as a standalone, $40. No promise of a content pipeline, and just let it live. You would have made money. You wouldn't have made billions necessarily without a content roadmap, without supporting it like a live service. Saying tax write-off, I understand, but dude, like, yeah. Yeah, that's true too. That might be that might be why they said no, we can't do that. It's just so discouraging, man. And I think about this team that's being made, right? It's like we're forming a team within Sony PlayStation that's going to be dedicated to supporting all the live service games. And I mean, why is this happening now? That's another question I have where it's like, bro, you bought Bungie back in 2022. Like, why is this just happening now? But I know I got a little bit distracted there because of, bringing up The Last of Us multiplayer again in Concord. But when I look ahead, I look at like Fair Games and I look at Marathon, and I just, what's even more frustrating too? What's even more frustrating is I just saw multiple headlines today. That Guerrilla Games, they were asked about Killzone, and they just flat out said, we're done. Like, we're never making Killzone. Like, it's over. Like, it's Horizon now. And this shit is... It's like... It's not like I expect them to be like, yeah, guys, you know what? We're going to make a new Killzone now. But it's like just the fact that it's like, no. It's basically like, nah, fuck that. I just think that's crazy. Like, bro, you got, like... I just need to know whose head is up whose ass at Sony at this point. Because it's like, you guys want successful live service. And you have this property that, while it never found the big ultra success like Halo did at the time or Call of Duty, it always had this kind of raw potential. And it just never quite hit that. It never quite got where it needed to be. But now we've reached a point where we're in a full-blown live service landscape. PlayStation players clearly do play live service games. Why not make a live service Killzone? Like, I just want to know, is it like, well, because no one's going to want to play it? What do you mean? Nobody's playing your games now, except for Helldivers. Nobody's going to play Fair Games. Nobody played Concord. Sure, people are going to play Marathon, but there's even talk that game's not going to do it. But I guess that's okay, right? It's okay if Marathon's just an okay game. Why can't you make a Killzone live service and that just be an okay multiplayer game? This is what pisses me off about modern Sony, where it's like, they're going in these directions that it just... at least in the multiplayer and the live service space, it's just like, dude, are you blind? How out of touch are you? And maybe I don't know, some people might think I'm being too harsh, but I don't know, man. Like, the more I kind of sit on this, I'm thinking like, so now you're going to take a team from Bungie and it's like, yeah, now Bungie's going to oversee all the live service stuff. Like, first off, I thought they were already doing that. Second off, wasn't that part of the problem? I don't know, man. I'm starting, the more I hear about Sony's live service plans, the more I just start to think like they just don't have any idea what they're doing. And I'm not saying they can't get lucky. Maybe that's what they need. They need to get lucky. Luckier than what they got with Helldivers 2. GC84, member for 16 months, says Naughty Dog should have finished the multiplayer game with 1 year of content, handed over to another studio with a fleshed out roadmap, and do consulting only. Boom. Boom. GC, Sony should hire you because that makes perfect sense and would have worked. And if there were people inside Naughty Dog that would have been pissed off about that, you need to tell them to take a seat because it's like, listen, you already put 4 years into this, okay? And you promised fans this. Commit to it, release it, and then move on. I just don't get it, man. MBG, are you okay? You seem very stressed. I'm not okay. Sony's left me with PTSD, bro. Sunscream says it's one flop. Get over it. Helldivers 2 is still great. Gran Turismo is still great. And that's fine. But I'm saying, like, Sony, they're falling for the trap, man. And it's so disappointing to witness because it's like, come on. You got to be better than this. The trap I'm talking about is like, it's this idea, like, we need more colorful, bombastic, over-the-top games that are going to appeal to the modern audiences. And it's like, or you should just shut the fuck up and, maybe look at your back catalog and make some good games again. Just make them multiplayer. Like, God, man. I don't get it. Killzone is too masculine for Sony to continue with it. What trap? One failure. You hate color. I forgot. No, I don't listen. I don't hate color, right? Like, I like brighter games. Like, I like colorful. I can get behind that. I do like colorful, fun, lighthearted games. It's just that, like, there's not. It's like, okay, there's Helldivers 2. Put Helldivers 2 aside. What else is there that looks like it's speaking to, and not speaking to a certain audience, but just it seems like they're all starting to kind of blend together where it's like, oh, so nobody liked Concord, no big deal. Here's Fair Games. And like, have you seen Fair Games? It's like, so that's basically Concord 2. Just, it's like, what, I don't know. Maybe I'm just venting my frustrations with the way this whole thing is played out. There's a part of me that just wants to suplex Sony, man. Like, we could have had The Last of Us multiplayer. Instead, I had to witness Concord do what it did. And I don't know, like, Sucker Punch. Are we gonna get a Ghost of Tsushima Legends 2? Like, can we at least get that? Or are we not getting that either? Is it like, this is what I'm saying? Even when it comes to like newer stuff, it's like, no, still fuck you. Like, what? Digital Dude 25, you're saying you need to let go of the past. MBG. Killzone ain't coming back. It's dead. Bury it. Where's the same energy for other old PlayStation games? Well, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, you're right. You know what? Fuck Killzone. Bury Killzone. But can we get a SOCOM? No, we're gonna bury that too. All right. Maybe Resistance? No, bury that too. Okay. Can we okay, how about this? Digital Dude, I got one for you. All right, no looking back. We're not looking back. New IP. I'm on board. I'm liking what I'm hearing. New IP. We're not going back. Cool. All right. Can we get one game? Count it one. One video game that takes some inspiration from any of those 3 games I just listed. Just one. And the answer is no. And that, like, that to me is where it's like, Can we get a military shooter? No. Can we get like a space shooter? No. Well, when I say space, I mean, I guess Concord was space, but you know, again, something like, here's a game that seems somewhat inspired by like Resistance or whatever. You know, something like that where it's like, I mean, Resistance was so unique because it's like World War II, but you're fighting aliens. And it's like, okay, like, can we get something unique like that? Digital Dude saying MBG is going to be on his deathbed, still upset about Concord. I will be. I'll be like, I'll never forget. I'll be on my deathbed. I'll be like, this is Concord's fault. It's because of Concord I'm dying. This is it. The last words I utter. Fuck you, Concord. Laura Canyon, you're saying, I agree with you. We lost The Last of Us and Spider-Man Online. Yeah, I forgot about that. The Spider-Man Online game, I'll be honest, I was a little bit more skeptical about that one just because, well, I don't know, actually. You know, I guess it's just because I wouldn't have been as excited for that. It would have been interesting, for sure. Like, but I will say, I think that Spider-Man game, that right there, a Spider-Man live service game, dude. Ooh, I mean, that sounds like an easy moneymaker. That sounds like an easy moneymaker. But yeah, that's true. The Spider-Man Online game seems like it was, like you're saying, it was barely put together. I do think that The Last of Us one is the most painful just because it's like, dude, I'm telling you, that game was locked and loaded, man. They were working on that since 2019. Like, it was ready to go. It was ready to go. And you know what's crazy to think, too, is I don't know if you guys remember with The Last of Us multiplayer game, Neil Druckmann said it takes place in a whole new city. It's in San Francisco. And that means they built a whole region in The Last of Us universe that we've never seen before. And it's just sitting there. It's just sitting there in their servers somewhere. And they should, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, man, so much was there. It's just shocking that they were like, nah. Gifted Gamer says Concord was a good game. Not really. I mean, will we look back on Concord and it's like, was it overhated? I mean, maybe. No, I don't know. See, I'll tell you, I'm going to tell you right now why I'll never defend Concord. I'll tell you. I will never defend Concord, and I'll never even give it breathing room. Because Concord represents the thing that I thought Sony would never do. That's why. Like, it represents the most generic, out of touch, just so far removed. You're saying I skipped super chats? I have all the super chats listed right here. I don't think I missed any. Oh, I'm sorry, Chris. You're right. I did. I missed one. Chris, you're saying, I'm just happy I can play as Batman on my quest. Yeah, it's a shame that wasn't able to make its way to PSVR 2. Damn. But as long as you're happy. As long as you're happy, Chris. Rudy, you're saying, here we go with this bullshit. Dude, it's not bullshit, Rudy. It's not. I'm sorry. It's not. But, like, think about it. Even if you're, like, one of the few people that genuinely liked Concord, I feel like you have to be able to see the bigger picture here in that, dude, that's, like, Sony, they have a history. You know what I mean? Like, they have a history of even in multiplayer spaces, they have a history. And it was just so sad to see that, like, bro, people like wonder, like, why the fuck? I've said it before and I'll say it again. Because I know that there's a lot of people who really don't like Xbox in these parts. But if Concord was an Xbox game, can you just imagine for a moment? Like, just that's it. That's all that needs to be said. Like, just imagine if it was an Xbox Game Studios logo instead of a PlayStation Studios logo. This is what I'm saying. Like, I understand that they're like PlayStation fans, when they, and I understand because I'm the same way. When you see the PlayStation Studios logo pop up, it's like, all right, you have my attention. But there's a reason for that. The reason being that when we've been conditioned after getting game after game after game of higher quality, of something that, we really enjoy, something that would be, I guess, the opposite of generic in most cases. When you see that logo pop up, you have a higher expectation inherently. And that's why it's just like, that's what I mean, where Sony they took this game and they were like, we're going to slap the PlayStation Studios logo on this and get fucking 110% behind it. This is our future. And this is why, it's not just Concord. I want to be clear. It's not just exclusively Concord but this is why people like, bro, listen to me. Something happened along the way. How many of you guys here follow Mystic or subscribe to Mystic? I feel like if you're a PlayStation fan on YouTube, you probably are, about Mystic, right? He put out this interesting video, and I didn't get to watch it. I'll admit, like, I clicked on it and I looked at the comments because I'm going to watch it later on. But the concept of the video, the title of the video, very interesting to me. He made a video basically asking, like, were these PlayStation sequels disappointing? And it was on the thumbnail, it was God of War Ragnarok, Spider-Man 2, and Horizon Forbidden West. And on the thumbnail it said underwhelming ? And I went to go read the comments, and the conversation, like, generally speaking, the comments I saw, they were not overly negative. I want to make that clear. Like, they were not overly negative. People weren't being hyperbolic and being like, they were shit. Like, nothing like that. But what they were was like, there was a lot more like, yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe they weren't. I don't think they were that good, or they were a little bit underwhelming, or they were too risk averse, and all this stuff, man. Like, and this was like all the comments, and especially with Spider-Man 2, so many people being like, man, Spider-Man 2 is really a letdown. But I saw people saying similar things about Ragnarok. Like, for example, one of the things that I saw somebody mention, and this was like one of the most upvoted comments, is you could definitely tell that that it hurt God of War Ragnarok that Cory Barlog wasn't involved. And I'm just like reading all this stuff, and I'm like, dude, what happened? I don't know if this is like revisionist history, or if people have just truly become totally disillusioned with Sony. But this is like what people were saying, the way people were talking. And I think it's a pretty good barometer, right? Because I mean, he's the biggest PlayStation channel on YouTube, and there were a lot of comments, and that was an interesting video topic where, like, yeah, a lot of people are probably going to watch this video. And I don't know what Mystic said, but dude, like, this is not at all how people were talking about these games. I know, because not only was I there, but I was in the shit, dude. I was still doing YouTube probably just as much as I am now. I was doing it every day. And suddenly it's like, you know what? I don't know. We were hyped for Horizon Forbidden West. We were ultra hyped. Like God of War Ragnarok, bro. People saying it's their game of the year. Spider-Man 2. I mean, I understand a little bit more why Spider-Man 2 as time went on. Maybe people were a little bit like, I don't know. Looking back on it, maybe it was a little bit rushed in some areas. Maybe the story was a little bit weaker. But I saw this stuff and I'm just like, holy shit, what happened? And Mrs. MBG comes in. I had to like do a double take there. Mrs. MBG comes in and drops 5 membership gifts for you guys. Mrs. MBG's like, fuck it, I'll do it myself. Thank you for that, Mrs. MBG. Well, there you go. Let's get some W's in the chat for Mrs. MBG. Dropping 5 membership gifts. Unknown says, member train, let's go. Mrs. MBG, never get high on your own supply. No way, dude. Titus, no way, bro. And she says, Mrs. MBG says, dude, I had to try for 15 minutes straight to send that. Google is mean. Wow. Well, I don't know. There's something going on. I noticed. I don't know if it's affecting other people's channels as well, or if it's just like something going on here. But yeah, I don't know that it should like I can totally understand if somebody's trying to like send membership gifts and YouTube keeps glitching out or whatever and it's like not letting them. Like if they have to spend 15 minutes to try to send a membership gift, I can totally understand why after 2 minutes you'd be like, I'm just not gonna bother. It's just not working. This is something that I noticed though, for like the past 2 weeks, seemingly. More and more people are telling me like they're having problems. I don't know. I don't know why. But for those who are still able to support and make it through, I do appreciate it. But yeah, man, I just I don't know what's going on. Really quick, you're saying it's affecting other channels. The internet is all effed up. That's interesting. You're saying it goes beyond YouTube. It's just the entire internet. I believe it. MBG, PlayStation fans longing for franchises and games from a version of the company that no longer exists. Current PlayStation isn't making mistakes. They're doing exactly what they had planned. Well, there is some serious concern, There is. I'm not necessarily, you guys know me, right? For those of you who tune in for real, I'm not the one to just immediately jump on, yeah, Sony sucks and they're a shell of their former selves and I hate them and everything they do sucks and I just want to like shit on them constantly. I'm not like that because for me that's not true. Not yet. I'm not saying it couldn't be in the future, but like there are still many things that, as far as I'm aware, Sony has spooled up or they're working on that I am excited for and I am interested in. But I do notice that, there are other things like, guys, oh shit, I lost it. I think I lost it. God damn it. I knew I should have saved the image. I came across something earlier. I wasn't looking for it. It just popped up on my Twitter feed where it was about Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and it was like a string of tweets from a woman, I guess, who was working with Insomniac on this game. And I don't know if there was like a controversy around this at the time that maybe I was completely unaware of. But like basically this woman is, I don't know her name. because I thought I had the image saved, but I don't know her name. But she's like a feminist and an activist, and she basically went on she put out this string of tweets. Tell me if anybody knows what I'm talking about. Back in 2022, where she was talking about how she basically had to convince Insomniac, and this is like the way she framed it, to desexualize Rivet. And she went on this like kind of little rant or whatever about how she's like, and I can't even tell you how many times I had to get into arguments about how Rivet. Keep in mind, it's a fucking. We're talking about like fake animals here, but like not even real creatures. How like she's like, you don't know how many times I got into fights and arguments where we need. I was telling the teams that Rivet doesn't need makeup or breasts, and she was saying how like she would make other employees uncomfortable apparently at Insomniac, because anytime they mentioned, basically she was mad that they gave Rivet boobs or something. Like, yeah. I mean, she was like going on a rant about it. And I mean, look, it doesn't really make a difference to me, because it's like, yeah, I get it. It's like an animal, like, I guess maybe for furries or whatever, that's like a thing. But Jerry, you're saying she was right. No, see, here's my thing though. The problem, like when I saw that, is like, oh, you're definitely doing that to all, like to human characters as well. You get what I'm saying? Like in this case, sure, it's neither here nor there. It's a freaking Lombax, whatever. But you can tell that like these are the types of people that are beginning to like dictate, or have been for some time, where it's like, you need to, we need you to inform us on whether or not this character is sexualized. And it's like, I don't know. I don't know. I just thought it's just shit like, and I didn't even look for that, by the way. I didn't even know about that. I was just reading it, and I was triple checking. I'm like, is this fake? Like, is this real? Am I being trolled right now? I don't know. Look at Mary Jane in Spider-Man 2, LMAO. Well, that's what I mean. Like, I saw, and that's something else I saw yesterday too, is I saw that there were like, because Spider-Man 2 was announced for PC, there are people saying like, we're gonna mod in MJ's face from Spider-Man 1 into Spider-Man 2. We're gonna make MJ great again. And they put up like a picture of what it's gonna look like. And apparently they're saying like the mod is going to end up getting banned or something by, I forget the name. There's like this, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not too familiar with like these organizations or whatever when it comes to mods, but they were saying like there's this company or whatever that's basically going to ban the mod, which would be fucking ridiculous, because it's like, bro, hold on. They're using the face from the first game. But I saw that, and it was just interesting that I came across that, because it made me realize when they showed the Spider-Man 1 model of MJ, and it was like, compared to the Spider-Man 2 model, and I'm like, yeah, seriously, like what the fuck did you guys do? Like, it's not, it's just one of those things where it's like, you definitely did something. Why? Like, why? And I don't know, people take it too far where it's like, yeah, we don't need characters over sexualized. I do agree with that. Like, it's not necessary. If they want to over sexualize their characters because that's what they want to do, then okay, whatever. Like we saw at Stellar Blade. Whatever. Go ahead. For me, that's not a make or break situation. But where things get kind of weird is when you just have like a normal looking character that looks feminine, and they're like, but what if no? What if we change that? And that's where I'm just like, and I don't know. It's just when I came across that string of tweets from 2022, I'm like, how did this person fucking get hired at Insomniac? Like, why is this person able, like, what is this person fighting for exactly? You know? It's so bizarre, and I don't know, man. I'm just starting to just really feel like shit is just going haywire. Nexus banned the God of War mod for Angerboda. What was that? What was the... do I even want to know? Do I even want to know? And I want... Yeah, no, perfect image. I'm not saying that's what Mystic was saying. No, like I said, I didn't actually watch the video. Somebody told me in the chat that Mystic actually said he really liked those games and he thought that they were better than the first. But he acknowledges that not everybody agrees with that. I'm not talking about what Mystic said. I'm talking about the conversation in his comment section. The wider conversation. Oh, that's race swap. Okay. I mean, yeah, that's a little yeesh. I don't see stuff like that. I feel like I could see why they're like maybe we shouldn't do this, but the whole thing with the face model for Mary Jane, like that to me would be super bizarre to get banned, because it's like, bro, that's literally in Spider-Man 1. Like, that's the same character, you know? It would be like if they modded in Spider-Man 2018's face model, the face model they went for Peter Parker, if they modded that in the Spider-Man 2, which would be cool. I think that actually would be cool to see that. Like, we're going to ban that too? I don't know. I don't know what's going on anymore out here, guys. Saying they made the Little Mermaid black. That is true. That is true. You're loving the new welcome tab on PS5? Yeah, I like it too. I think that's actually one of the best updates they've brought out to PS5. It's like way, way more informative. You're saying people need to stop being cowards and admit that Western devs are making female characters ugly on purpose. I mean, yeah, I will say that it's not every Western developer, I don't think. I think that'd be unfair to say that. But it has become seemingly there has been a pattern where you can see, like, you know, again, I don't, it's not even about like ugly, right? Like, I don't even want to say like ugly, but it's just like seemingly going out of their way to like, well, we're definitely not going to make them even just like normal looking, like average, you know what I mean? Like, we're going to make them below average. It's like, except being ugly is a subjective thing. I mean, well, if you talk about it, if you're looking into like the objectivity of it, I don't know, apparently scientifically speaking, like the more symmetrical your face is, like technically the more beautiful you are, or the more attractive you'll be, or something. I don't know. I mean, I'm not looking into it on that level, but I do think that it is there is, unfortunately, and I know people, I know, trust me, I know, because I'm so, if anything, like this is gonna be what kicks me out of gaming, dude. Not fully, but like it's gonna whittle me down, where there is a culture war, like just a full blown. It makes, I don't know, like what do people talk about back in the day, like Gamergate and shit. It was like a 10 or like 12 years ago or something. It just seems like what's happening now makes that look like you know, like kiddie shit, really. Where it's just it's so insane now, it's so intense, and it's everywhere, and it's having an impact. And I don't know, I guess just for me, I've gotten to a point where I have to seriously begin to question, like, how much is it really starting to impact my enjoyment of video games? You know, where it's like there are things that I still enjoy, there are things that I still gravitate towards, but I can't deny that, like, there is a certain level of worry now with certain things, most things, where I don't want to be that person that is breaking out the microscope and doing the, like, I got to look at it really close and start overreacting to things. I don't want to be that person. But then I do come across it. You know what I notice? I'll be honest with you. It's the people who do the deeper investigations, the people who look deeper into it and try to, like, find out, like, who are these people making these decisions? And when they, some people I think are painted to look worse than they actually are, obviously, like, try to make the picture look even uglier. But in a lot of cases, I do see shit where I'm like, oh my God, these people are nuts. You know? Like, you see the way they're behaving on their socials and the type of conversations they're having and the things they're saying. And I'm like, I don't want that to necessarily, like, I do want to be able to separate the art from the artist, but it's like when you start to realize that, dude, this is starting to grow into a hive mind. And that hive mind is beginning to take over studios and studio culture. Like, now the hive mind has entered the games industry. That's the shit that concerns me, where it's like, all right, well, it's not every studio, it's not every game, obviously. But that when that hive mind begins to take over, it starts to ruin it for other things too, where it's like when we think of Ghost of Yotei, again, I know I keep bringing it up, but it's like it's the hive mind that scares people, as it should, because that shit's not good. Where it's like, hey man, like, check it out. The chick who's playing Ghost of, the main protagonist of Ghost of Yotei, she's part of the hive mind, you know? And it's like, oh, all right, yeah, so it's close to the game. It's closer to the game than I would like it to be, but is it part of the game? You know what I mean? Has it infected Sucker Punch? I'm trying to take on the stance of, I don't think so. Hopefully not. Because I don't want it to be that way, you know? Slim says, the question is, how much has the internet impacted your enjoyment of games? Quite a bit. I mean, I feel like that's a tough one for me, because if there's one thing that I will tell you that I would hope every content creator could acknowledge this. If they're not willing to acknowledge this, then they're lying to you, or they're, at the very least, they're being completely disingenuous. As a content creator, as somebody who is engaged deeply with in the conversation on the internet about video games, this stuff absolutely has an impact. How much of an impact? Well, that's different for every content creator. But, there's no denying that, like, even honestly, even if you're not a content creator, just scroll on Twitter. If you're scrolling on Twitter, it's going to impact you. You're going to see it, is what I'm saying. Like, you're going to become aware of it. And I guess what I'm trying to say is no content creator, and mostly nobody engaged in this conversation on the internet, is ignorant. Ignorance can be bliss, right? And that's the question I would love an answer to, and I don't know. I'll never have the answer to that question, because I feel like what you're really asking is, imagine, like, how would I feel about video games if I just was off the internet? Right? I'd be just completely off the internet. Not involved in anything. No Reddit posts, no forum posts, no comment sections, no Twitter feed, no live stream, no video comments, nothing. I have no idea. I have no idea. I wish I could know. I would love to know How would I feel about Spider-Man 2? How would I feel about Mary Jane? How would I feel about Ghost of Yotei? How would I feel about Concord? I mean, so it's one of these things where it's like, I think we've reached a point where we can no longer deny that all of this, if you are here on the internet, I don't care if you're somebody with millions of subscribers or somebody with hundreds of subscribers or somebody with no subscribers, and you're just partaking in a chat, you're just partaking in viewing a YouTube video or viewing a YouTube stream or whatever. I don't think there's any denying that it has its hooks in everybody now. Even to the degree of like, think about, I mean, even if we were removing the culture war political side of it and we just kept it pure gaming, I mean, really, what difference does it make? So you may not be arguing about whether or not a character is ugly or created by a woke activist or feminist, or whether or not, you know, we're celebrating a character because of how busty she is, right? And we need more of that in games. You're not arguing that, but instead, what are you arguing? Game design. This game design is worse than that game design. This is better than that. Here are the weak points. So I think what I'm trying to say here is that to get back to that truly pure type of engagement with video games, at least for me, and I think for most other people on the internet, it's reached a point of near impossibility. Because to me, that pure form of gaming, here's what it looks like. I see a game trailer. I see maybe one interview where I learn a little bit of information about an upcoming game. And that's it. And then I buy that game and I play that game. And maybe I don't talk to anybody about it because I don't really have anybody I know personally that's also played the game. And so I just think about the game. It just lives in me. You know, like my thoughts stay with me and me alone. And my experience with that game stays with me and me alone. And that's it. It ends there. That's where it begins and that's where it ends. There is nothing else surrounding it. There is nothing else in between it. There is no build up to it. There's no overanalyzation of it. None of that exists. There's no deeper conversation. There's no deeper thoughts even. Except for the, you know, it's just like funny to me. You know, it's funny. Maybe I'm confusing. Maybe I'm just confusing engaging with video games as a younger person, as a kid growing up, as a teenager, right? With how you're going to engage with video games as an adult. Because it's funny when I think about the games that I like, some of my favorite games I played growing up, I never like thought about game design. You know, like I never thought about anything other than the moments and how the moments made me feel and how they, you know, how they stuck with me. I feel like these days that still exists, certainly, but now there's like all this extra shit on top of it where it's like, I have to start to question, like, how important is any of this? You know? You're zooming in on boss. But I don't know. It's all a matter of, I guess, influence, right? Because if you think about it, the things that I was playing growing up, the things that a lot of gamers these days, the things that we want to either go back to, or we want, you know, when we talk about Western game devs, and like, we're tired of the Western game devs. ruining everything, bringing their bullshit agendas and whatnot. I mean, there's no way around the fact that a lot of us are coming from, there is a layer of nostalgia that drives that. But it's not just the nostalgia, right? It's also, there is a layer of gatekeeping, and we have to ask ourselves, like, where does that gatekeeping come from? Does it come from a good place, or does it come from a really shitty place? Because a lot of people are going to be like, well, gatekeeping in general is bad. And it's like, well, you would think, till you realize how many things in your life actually need a little bit of gatekeeping. I mean, really, gatekeeping it's a term that people, they look at so negatively, and I get why. But if you think about it, like, you're gatekeeping yourself all the time, right? Why? Why don't you do these 10 different things? You're going to have reasons. What are those reasons linked to? Chances are those reasons are linked to your beliefs, your past actions, past mistakes. I'm saying, like, these are the things that we project, understandably so. Exactly. You could just say it's moderating, right? How much does it need to be moderated? But these are the things that we all are like, everybody is projecting these ideals or these feelings onto everything now. And it's understandable why. They're trying to indoctrinate young minds. Well, that's what's interesting, right? Because I see some of these people that are involved in the gaming industry that are, like, clearly, in my opinion, if not just nuts, just totally misguided and bringing a certain ideology that seems very crooked to me, or ass backwards. And they would have people like me and many other gamers believe, like, no, that's what happened to you. You were indoctrinated into it, right? Like, the things that you look back on so fondly, the things that you cherish, the things that you care about, those were pretty shitty. They were not inclusive enough. They were not diverse enough. They were sexist. They were homophobic. They were this, they were that, right? And that's why I think the most important thing these days is the person or the people who are going out of their way to show you that in most cases that's actually not true. In some cases it is, to be clear. Absolutely. In some cases it is. But in a lot of cases, with a lot of the things that people look back on fondly, there's a reason for that. That reason is not based upon sexism, based upon homophobia, based upon anything that's would be considered wrong inherently. It's based upon, well, I mean, to be honest, I'm not really sure what people would call it today. Maybe you could call it traditionalism. If not that, some people in an extreme case, some people might call it normalcy, right? But what is normal, right? What's normal in 2024? Kazjam, you're saying, I don't see the problem with gatekeeping. Once things go mainstream, things start to go downhill. That's what I mean. There's this just level of concern overall, I would say, where in order to preserve what makes something so unique and so, I'm trying to think of the right word to use here. Not just unique, but something that has impacted people in a way that somebody else might look at it and say, I don't know, doesn't seem inclusive enough or whatever, like in a way that makes people just kind of be like, well, yeah, of course you're going to see a problem with it, But in reality, like, most people who grew up with it or most people who engage with it, they're like, there's more to it than that. And you're just failing to see it. And because you're failing to see it, you feel like you're outside of it. And because you're outside of it, you now feel a layer of resentment or anger, and you want to try to change it to suit you. And that is what's disturbing, is that has infected the games industry. It's infected all industries. But Wabu Dude with 2 super chats. Thank you, buddy. You're saying Concord was a big L for Sony, but they've released Rebirth, Stellar Blade, Astrobot, Silent Hill, Helldivers, and Grand Blue Fantasy this year. I think Sony has delivered strong games overall. I don't get how one game like Concord, a setback for PlayStation, can overshadow all the great experiences Sony has given us this year. It feels unfair to dismiss everything else. I'm in agreement, and I do want to. I don't mean to get defensive, Wabu Dude, and because to be honest, I don't know if even what you're saying is necessarily. I don't know that it's being directed towards me, or if you're speaking more generally. But I will say this is why I've had many streams, and I've gotten a lot of shit for these streams as well. I've gotten a lot of pushback, right? And that's what I noticed is, like, the more I try to be fair and see both sides, it feels like I end up just getting shit from both sides, where it's like, wait, so you don't hate PlayStation? No, actually, I really like them. Oh, well, you're just a pony. F off, right? But then it's like on other sides as well, when it's like, well, I really do like PlayStation, but I also have some serious concerns and I think they took some pretty big L's this year. Then there's like a certain group that's like, oh, well, you're just a grifter or whatever, or, something along those lines. And, this is why I hope people all right, I appreciate that clarification, Wabu Dude. You're saying you're not necessarily speaking just about me. That's why I try to maintain the stance that I do, where, like, not everything is going to be positive, because like you're saying, even you're acknowledging, like, there's a big L here with Concord. And I would say, like, a couple of other things, like with Bungie and whatnot. And these things need to be acknowledged, and they can't be ignored because, well, I mean, the fans have to let Sony know, right? But you're absolutely correct. And this is a problem I've been noticing all year. And it's painful to just see, like, my God, man, pull up Twitter. It's like, oh, let me go see what Twitter has to say. Yeah, that's genius. And you just see Twitter's not real life, but just even in my own comment sections and stuff, right? And even in places that I'm, that you would assume are more relaxed, you still see it. You still see people just being like, nah, man, Sony sucks. It's like, bro, they had if not incredible, a very strong lineup this year, And that's where it's like, that's why I say, for as disturbed as I am about things like The Last of Us getting abruptly canceled and things like Concord, and I'm worried about Sony's live service direction, I also, somebody might say, well, no, I guess you're thinking about moving away from PlayStation. It's like, no. Like, well, why not? It's like, well, because putting that aside, look at all the good things I got this year. Look at the lineup Sony provided this year. It would be, I think, way too extreme to just be like, nah, none of that counts for anything. So I'm done. I would come back because there are things I want to play. So I agree with you, Wabu Dude. There's definitely a layer out there, a pretty thick layer of discourse that I think comes from a more disingenuous place, where it's like, yeah, but Astrobot doesn't matter. Or Rebirth doesn't matter, Sony didn't make it. Or, Rise of the Ronin doesn't matter. None of these games matter. And it's like, I don't know, man. If you're playing on PlayStation, those games might matter. Right? I mean, they might matter a lot. So I appreciate the super chats, Wabu Dude. Kyle uses his milestone chat and says, lovely thing about freedom is that I get to choose to dive into that content. They can scream, I should feel their feelings. It won't change a thing. And that's absolutely true, Kyle. And I've made the argument before. I don't even know if it's an argument, but I've made the suggestion previously that, you know what, maybe it's best to just pack it up and walk away. If you don't like it, just walk away. But I realize it's kind of problematic to look at it that way when people are starting to feel that the things that were once for them are being hijacked, right? And Hellbound 1981, the legend. Hellbound comes in and drops 5 membership gifts for you guys. Hellbound, thank you so much for that, bud.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hellbound's always showing great support for the community here and dropping some memberships. So that does bring us up to 10 on the day. So we're slowly but surely making our way to the goal. We'll see if we can hit it today. Appreciate all the support, guys. I'm losing my place here a little bit, though. Salmark with a $5 chat says, bro, during Yotei, you were telling the chat you were going to be banning people who were displeased with the protagonist with 1,500 live viewers. Well, no. I don't recall saying that. I mean, the way you're wording it here, you're saying that basically I said that if you don't like the protagonist, I'm banning you. No, that's not what I was doing. I was telling people if they're just being basically hate speech. Like, I don't know if you noticed or not, Salmark, but dude, during that stream, there was like my chat was out of control. It was my fault because I didn't turn on slow mode and I wasn't paying enough attention to it. But people were legitimately getting like furious that there were so many people in there just flat out being just basically spewing hate speech, which is like, okay, look, there's a big difference. And I think everybody knows this, or everybody should know this. There's a big difference between, man, I'm disappointed that I'm not going to be playing as Jin Sakai again, and I'm a little bit worried that Sucker Punch is going in a potentially woke direction, right? There's a difference between that and somebody entering the chat and saying something like, like, I don't want women taking over our games, and I'm tired of, I'm tired, like, of course, like, I don't want the girl boss and stuff like that. Although I'm not going to say that that's necessarily hate speech. It's, it's a bit light, but there were, I guess what I'm trying to say is there were things being said that were way worse than that I'm not going to repeat, or, I'm going to get my own stream banned here. And that was the stuff where people were just getting out of control, where it's like, all right, it is in that, after that stream, it became clear to me that it's necessary to have a deeper conversation here, because people are immediately like, this is where we are, man. And I get it. Like, when people see, oh, it's not Jin, it's a random female character now, a random female badass that's replacing Jin. I get, like, when you look at some of the things that Sony is doing, and not even just Sony, but that you look at the wider gaming industry and you see that there is this active push. There is this active push. It's not even just about like female characters. It's about the message. The overall message being that, like, out with the old, in with the new. The new is left-leaning progressive, right? Activism. That's made its way into games. Not every game, but it is there. And people are beginning to take notice of that. And that is what has led to what I believe is a bit, like, certainly an overreaction from some people. The overreaction comes in the form of, like, losing your fucking mind and suddenly, like, bro, like, I just, like, don't think people, like, realize, like, you're validating the other side by behaving this way. You get what I'm saying? Where it's like, this is not constructive. This shouldn't be acceptable behavior. And if anything, you're just validating the other side and you're giving them the ammunition they desperately pray you give them. And that, to me, is what I noticed with the Ghost of Yotei reveal, where it's like, you can't strengthen, like, inadvertently, you will strengthen them by overreacting to this stuff. You have to be concise. You have to be logical. You have to have reason, good reason. And, you know, a lot of what I saw too, and I think this was fair in the sense that it's not overreactive, albeit maybe a bit preemptive. A lot of people were just me like, I'm not buying it. Like, I wanted to play as Jin. I'm not playing as Jin. I'm not buying it. And I'm like, okay, it does seem a bit preemptive. And that's fine. Maybe they'll win you over. But I don't see anything wrong with that. Now, listen, if your reason, like inside, for not wanting to buy that game, like, well, why are you not buying it? Because I'm not interested in asking people why. That's not my job. That's Sony's job. That's Sucker Punch's job. But if the reason deep down is, because I'm pretty sure that this game went full send woke. You know, like the studio got taken over by the hive mind based off of who they hired, and it's like you know all these things, and look at all these things Sony did. You can lay that out if you feel the need to, but at the end of the day, it's like until we see more, your best bet is let them dig their own grave. Now, that's not what I'm going to do because I'm over here making content, right? I'll try my best, but you know, it's going to be impossible for me not to bring it up and talk about it more. But more generally speaking, it's like just let them dig their own. Like if that's actually if we have that much bad faith, like holy shit, like it's going to be a dumpster fire or whatever, then you don't have to do a damn thing. They'll do it for you. You get what I'm saying? But the more aggressive you get, and that's why I'm saying a lot of these people who are leading this so-called charge on social media, on YouTube, a lot of people who are leading a charge, sometimes they have some really good points. Do you know how many times I've come across stuff, by the way? I've come across stuff from people that have reputations, you know, not going to name names, but they have reputations, they have large followings, and they present something very damning. Like, see, look at what the other side is doing. I told you, here's the proof. And I see it and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's not a good look, man. Damn. And I feel like I got a bit of insight. But then that same individual posts something else and they're completely fucking wrong. They get proven wrong and they're made to look foolish. And suddenly now I don't know. Like, do you know what you're doing? Do you know what you're talking about? Like, it seemed like originally it seemed like it was coming from a place of genuine concern, of genuine, like, balance, right? Like, you're trying to rebalance the industry. Now it just seems like you're coming from a place of hate. And this is the problem that I've noticed, where that is getting fucking mixed in with all of this, where people are beginning to normalize the very thin veil and disguise of I'm genuine and I really care to make this a better place, with fucking, like, it's they're attempting to hide hate. And they're failing miserably as time goes on, because it's like, dude, and it's not just dude, it's like everybody. Like, your hatred is coming through. We see it. Like, we're beginning to see how you really feel. Your true colors are shining. And it's very, very hard these days to find people really, sincerely, where it's like, okay, so what's your agenda? What are you hiding? I know you got something. What is it? Because everybody does. And that's why, you know, I'm not perfect either. And I'm not trying to be perfect. You know, people, it's all about the W's and the L's, and it's all about trading the blows and who's getting more dirt on who. And it's like, you know, man, I'm just reaching a point where I think the best I could do, like, truthfully, for myself and for others, is if I see something that I think looks like shit, I'm just going to say that looks like shit. Maybe there doesn't have to be a rhyme or a reason. Maybe it's actually best to just leave it at that. And I think that's why I ultimately came to my own conclusion. And that conclusion was, you know what? if I see something that makes me go, the fuck? What is this? Like in my head. Like I see that. Maybe the best external response is, I'm good. I'm going to go find something else. Because I think the truth is, like, from that point forward, and that's hard for me. Again, I'm a content creator. I always got to find something to talk about, right? Something to engage with. But realistically, that's probably the best way to go about it, because it's just a matter of, like, what do you think you're going to change? Like, I don't know. Am I going to be the voice of change? The reason of change? Like, am I going to be the one to spearhead it? And I'm like, dude, I look at what's out there and I'm like, I'm good. No, I'm not trying to be a culture warrior. Fuck that. I mean, sometimes I end up kind of becoming a culture warrior with these conversations, but I'm definitely not, because being a culture warrior today means, oh, you better have your side picked. Because when you pick that side, you're getting all the good and all the bad. You're getting all the baggage with it. And that's what I've decided. No, thank you. I don't want the fucking baggage, because the baggage also comes with, again, people, wolves in sheep's clothing, thinking they're out here acting like they're doing the fucking Lord's work on behalf of the entire gaming community, when in reality, every other day they're revealing that they got some fucking nasty demons that they're just basically desperately trying to hide. And the same goes for the fucking, the what do they call it? The woke hive mind, the crazy left activists. Same with them. They're just as fucked up, a lot of them. They're just as fucked up, dude. If not worse in some ways. And it's disturbing. Instant Messenger Sam, I'm sorry to keep you waiting, but you're saying gatekeeping is really peaked once social media took the course. One day, one could say publishers mimic our behaviors in a way. How deep of you. Well, the one thing I do know is that these video game development teams, these publishers, they want way more than me and way more than you to know what they should do or what they shouldn't do. What's gonna make the money? That's what they want to know. Bro, you're saying I've taken the mantle of the enlightened centrist cuck. Oh my God. I mean, I don't know. The first, like, enlightened centrist, but cuck, bro, come on. I ain't no cuck. I'm not making it sound like I won't fight. I will fight. I'll make that clear. I'll become a fucking rabid animal. But it's all, it's just this, it's how the saying goes. Pick and choose your battles, right? Pick and choose your battles. And I'm just saying, like, 99% of the battles that I see being, like, dude, it's one day we're fighting on this fucking hill, and it doesn't even matter if we win or lose, because now it's the next day, we got to go fight on that hill. And I'm like, okay, what are we fighting for though, bro? It's like sometimes I feel like a soldier in the Vietnam War who's like, you like, at some point you're just there so long, you're fighting all over. You're just like trying to avoid booby traps and shit. You're just like, when are we leaving, man? Like, this sucks. I don't even know. I don't even remember why we're here. What are we doing? Like that's how I'm starting to get that way. And it's like, well, from that point forward, I just go the rest of the time like that, hoping I make it out unscathed, or it becomes straight up. It becomes like, look, I'm gonna have to go nuts. I'm gonna have to go deep into the jungle. And I'm gonna have to become one with the enemy. I don't know. Saving Private MBG. Mrs. MBG leaves for 20 minutes, comes back, husband, I am not a cuck, leaves again. What are you guys doing to me? See what my chat does to me? Listen, man. We just need shit to make sense. That's all. If you boil it down, we just need shit to make sense, because if it makes sense, you can present it to a naysayer. And you can say, look at this. The logic is that 2 + 2 is 4. And it's up to them to decide if they're okay with that. Right? And I think that's the problem these days. Is I think what a lot of people in the industry are doing is they're like 2 + 2 is 5. And a lot of people are like, no, it's not. But unfortunately, there's also a lot of people being like, no, it's 5. Trust me, it's 5. And then the people who are like, no, it's not, are getting upset. And then it kind of becomes a whole thing. It's like, well, is there really something wrong if a person wants to walk around thinking 2 + 2 is 5? Like, who are you to decide whether they should do that or not? And I've seen so much. That's why I'm just like, you know what? It's like what Keanu Reeves said. Like, Keanu Reeves was like, I've just reached a point in my life where if somebody comes up to me and says 2 + 2 is 5, it's like, okay, cool. Yeah. Sure. Whatever you say, man. And I feel like that's exactly how I feel. I mean, maybe it is a position of apathy, but I mean, for Christ's sake. What am I even doing here now? We got flat earthers. Yes, because then it spreads and we end up with idiocracy. I know. You're right. You're right, Illegal Monkey. You're right. Yeah. I do have a tendency to just want to give up. I'm not going to lie. You know? Like, I have a tendency to just be like, you know what? Y'all are hopeless. Y'all are hopeless. I'm done. I'm out. I don't give a shit what happens, you know? But I know that that can ultimately be detrimental. Bro, Shadowlink. Chase, no. Dude, I'm looking at some of the things you guys are typing in the chat right now. I at least appreciate how entertaining it can be sometimes. Nintendo Alarmo? Get the fuck out of here with that shit, bro. This is like just as bad as hearing Sony is doing a fucking like orchestra or some shit. Sony's like, we're going on tour, baby. And I'm like, PlayStation Experience, Sony's back. I'm like, no, it's a concert. Like, what the fuck you mean a concert? Like, yeah, literally. We're going to play music from our games live. I'm like, you motherfuckers can do that, but you can't do PlayStation Experience? Nintendo Alarmo, PlayStation Pasta, Xbox Shower Gel. The trifecta. The Holy Trinity. $100 alarm clock. Holy shit, it's 100. Are you serious? It's $100? Dan's like, bro, I'm going to that concert. Why are you hating? I know. I don't know what if I'm not hating, I don't know what else to do. Listen, it's either existentialism or hate. Be a hater or have daily existential crises. It's sold out immediately. Oh my god. I guess that's not surprising. That's crazy. $100 though. They better be doing some like really fancy shit for $100. $100? Oh yeah, I forgot Xbox has a toaster and a fridge. What is Microsoft? Dude, you gotta wonder at some point, was Microsoft seriously considering maybe like transitioning Xbox from being a gaming centric brand to like, we're just gonna enter the world of appliances? The Xbox stove. The Xbox microwave. I mean, surely they can at least be better than LG, right? Rich Rod, you're saying direct donation? All right, hold on, Rich Rod. Let me see. Rich Rod says, MB Gangsta, stand up. I know you said relax, but no. C-word Borg. Something bot. These are actually, I don't know if you did this purposely, Rich Rod, but I'm actually not sure what that second word was. It's like assbot? I don't know. You are going downhill like Review Tech USA. You as ugly as Dolt Eastwood. Yo. I saw, like, is it true because I don't know. I don't know much about like Review Tech USA or Rich, I guess that's his name. Is it true he deleted his channel? Didn't he have like 1 million subscribers or something? But Rich Rod, thank you for that wasn't too bad. That wasn't too bad. I appreciate it, Rich Rod. He really did delete his channel. Whoa. I mean, yeah, that's kind of crazy. I wonder why. Why did he do that? Maybe he's just moving on. I mean, the internet's a crazy place, man. The internet, I'll be honest, the longer I'm on the internet, the more I actually begin to understand why people are losing their minds on the internet. I mean, for real. Like, it sometimes starts to feel like you either go insane or you don't. But if you don't, you're not going to last. I don't know. Well, are you fucking kidding me? Sorry, not to you guys. It's like, what is wrong with YouTube anymore, dude? I'm going to have to figure something out. It just keeps crashing over and over. Every time I'm streaming, it's crashing. I did miss a super chat. I'm sorry, Kyle. I'm sorry I'm late to it. See, this is what I mean. It's like, it's all over the place. Oh, I missed a couple super chats. Oh, wait. Chat summary. Viewers are reacting to the news. Okay, it didn't even let me read the fucking chat summary. Bro, I think, like, what is going on with YouTube anymore? Kyle, you're saying, MBG, this is a well-coordinated attack across media of all kinds. You can be part of the resistance, but it won't change the fact that this is the direction we are going in within this world today. But why? I mean, like, the way you're wording it, Kyle, you're saying it's like a well-coordinated attack. what is it exactly that is being attacked and why? I mean, I feel like I have a general idea, but Waylark, you're saying, why go on these rants? LOL, you'll be doing the opposite of what you are saying next stream. Because god damn it, Waylark, I need the content. I don't know. Maybe I will. I don't know. This what I've been saying, I think there has been some consistency, but I do admit that it is a bit all over the place. I know I'm guilty of that. But it's simply because, dude, I'm seeing different shit every day. And it's hard to keep up. I'll be honest. It's hard. Like I see so much shit every day that I feel like I can't even keep up with my own feelings. Like, wait, what? Just hopped on the stream. What's the meltdown about? Social engineering. We're heading towards a social credit score. Oh my God, that sounds so believable though. Like that actually sounds believable. A social credit score. You're right. That's the next step. A social credit score. Hellbound, you're saying refresh it. It's good again. Yeah. That usually does the trick. Gavin, you're saying, on one hand, ugly video game characters are a trivial issue. On the other, it's part of a wider effort to deconstruct society, and people are noticing. That's well put. See, Gavin, I think that's kind of how I end up feeling, right? Where it's like, yeah, it feels like a trivial issue. Like, who cares how a made-up character looks? But you're right. It does seem, it's like I'm saying, like there's this kind of thin disguise, like a thin veil where it's like if you look a little bit closer, you can kind of see like I'm pretty like what there's more going on here. Like I can kind of see it. It's kind of obvious. And there's like this and then there's like this kind of level of gaslighting that goes on where it's like no, like what's wrong with you? And I don't know. I like I've always been the type of person where it's like I don't know. I don't trust people. I don't. I've always been that way where it's just like maybe it's a super shitty quality, but I don't want, maybe I'm being too light on myself, but it's like I've always kind of assumed the worst in most people where it's like, yeah, what's your agenda? Like I know there's something. Like what is it? And for most people in my life, it's very obvious. Like, okay, I know what you're about. I know what you're about. But then, there are those people where it's like, I don't know, can't quite get a good read. And sometimes you gotta stick around a little bit, and learn more. And I don't know, maybe that's a shitty way of viewing things, but it's just also, I think, true. It's the human condition, some would say. Digital Dude 25 says the Resistance, this dude's from Skynet. Well, all right, listen. If we were talking about the culture war in Terminator terms, I know. If we're talking about it in Terminator terms, like who's the Resistance, who's Skynet? I got another direct donation from Rich Rod. He says, being a fan of Dolt Eastwood is essentially being a bite it. All you see is a brown star and something I can't make out, consistently trying to clean it away and eating it. I don't know what I just read, man. Rich, what did you just make me read? Have you considered going on a vacation with the fam to decompress? Outside is still nice. No, man. I just want to go deeper into the recesses of the internet. I want to fuse my mind and my consciousness with the internet. Shall we trust you, MBG? Get on the program, MBG, and focus. Tighten up, bro. We need you. Oh, Rich Rod. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Wait. I'm okay. So I'm totally pronouncing that. Either. How do you pronounce that? Rich Rod, why are you making me say shit? I don't even know what to. Rich Rod's out here making me say shit. I don't even know what I'm saying. Get that Elon Musk chip in your mind. Did you see that Elon Musk recently talked about games as well? And he was asked about it. And I like came across this clip and he was like talking about it would be interesting to get involved. A bidet. Oh shit. Okay. That's how it's spelled? Wow. Okay. I'm kind of shocked by that. I've heard, yeah, a bidet. I think I'm saying that right. I've heard that. Yeah. I would have never guessed that's how it's actually spelled, though. That's kind of nuts. But you know me in pronunciation. It's a French word. I want to read your English teacher's reports. Dude, spelling was one of my weak points in school, for sure. I don't know, man. I'm pretty stupid. Like, just I'm not even gonna deny it. I mean, you guys already know that. B-day. Am I still saying it wrong? You know, I don't care. Just call it a fucking hose. Call it whatever you want. I said bite it. A bidet. A bidet. Guys, I think I've lost my grip. Dan says ass hose. There you go. Yeah, there you go. That's how we in America, that's what we call it in America. An ass hose. Ass washer. You know, Gaming Survivor, that sounds a bit more appropriate the more I think about it. Don't you just love Press X podcast, guys? Or Press Cross podcast? You come in, you're like, we're talking about Sony's live service games 2 hours later. So what about that ass washer? Yeah, I've lost my grip. You're saying I'm not surprised that you are losing it as you literally go through this exact same topic every stream for the vast majority of the stream. You need to change up your routine. I didn't say that. I said ass washer. Somebody, you're saying that, and that's coming up. I didn't say that. I said ass hose and ass washer. Somebody in the chat is saying the other thing. All right, guys, I think we've reached the end of the line here. Listen, you guys got any more super chats for me? Because, no, in all seriousness, Ahoy Tyler, yeah, I think you're right. I don't know, maybe I got to cut down on the streaming a little bit, just a little bit. Maybe spread it out a bit, because I do think I am maybe becoming too repetitive. Oh, hello, Luna. Digital Dude 25 with the $20 super chat. Thank you so much, Digital Dude. You're saying dull, dark dot to sit in solemn silence, excuse me, in a dull, dark dot in a in a pestilential prison with a lifelong lock, awaiting the sensation of a short, sharp shock from a cheap and chippy chopper with a big black block. Nah, I don't know. How would you rate that? I think I did pretty good. I mean, I got a little bit hung up there in the beginning because it took, like, my brain was not registering what I was reading, what was going on here. How would you rate that? Digital Dude, thank you for that $20 super chat. You think I won that one? Roshdom V2 says, can we just ban Rich Rod for always derailing the stream? All right, listen. To be fair, Roshdom, I know not everybody's a fan of Rich Rod's donations, but the stream was derailed well before he showed up. I'm going to be honest. I'm not even trying to be a Rich Rod defender. I'm just saying, like, we were fucking off the rails, dude. We were way off the rails. Six out of 10. Now wrap it. Wait, is that... what is that from? That's from W.S. Gilbert, the Mikado. Huh. Okay. We have Titus Crow. He says, best wishes to Gaming Survivor in his move to the Far East. A new job and less online. He was the best of us. Wait, is this true, Gaming Survivor? Is this true? Well, good luck, man. Make sure you take your WD-40 with you. You know, never travel without it. All right, let's go. I'm gonna nail this one. A flea and a fly flew up in a flue. Said the flea, let us fly. Said the fly, let us flee. So they flew through a flaw in the flue. Boom!
Holy shit.
Wrecked. I was ready that time. I was ready for that one. This is what the stream is now. Gaming Strider saying I'm taking a bit of a hiatus. packing the bags with all the essentials, WD-40, Hornets, mold, etc. But Diamond the Dragoon says, crushed it. I think the first one was more difficult. I'm not going to lie. I think the first one was okay. Everything just crashed. That's nice. I love it when that happens. I'm just trying to read the chat and it's just like complete crash. Dude, YouTube won't even listen. It's so bugged out. YouTube won't even tell me like my numbers for anything on the chat right now. So I'm just like in the dark. How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Nailed it. Ones that have S words. She sells seashells by the seashore. The only thing that I only get a little bit messed up with the first part with C or she. See? I did it. I want to say C instead of she. Well, guys, I think this is going to wrap it up. At this point, we're just I don't know where we are. We're beyond a members lounge at this point. We're just like we're in space. I can't. I'll just say right now, we're at 10 members on the day. Does anybody here want to drop 15 memberships before we go? I don't know if you guys want to hit the goal or not. I appreciate the 10 membership gifts. I'm happy with that. But I don't know. I guess I'll just do like the last call for last 2 minutes. Here we go. All right. Digital Dude 25. Through 3 cheese, trees 3 free, fleas flew. While these fleas flew, freezy breeze blew. Freezy breeze made these 3 trees freeze. God damn. Oh my God. These are the reps today. I'm exercising my speech. I've never read that one before though. That one's tough. Through 3 tree. I already did it once. I'm not doing it again. I feel like I'm breaking my brain here. Careful, you might be activating some sleeper agents. That's the code, man. That's the code to activate the sleeper agents. What have I done? You're saying respect for typing that. Bro, I'm certain Digital Dude is copy and pasting that. There ain't no way he's typing that out. Gaming Survivor says, well, boys, it's been real. Keep the streams going. Y'all repping Totokism now. Have fun and enjoy the games. Well, thank you for that, Gaming Survivor. Good luck in your endeavors. He, I think, got a new job, and he's flying. I think he's going somewhere for his new job, and I think he's working at like a WD-40 plant. Yeah, I'll have to clean that poison ivy. Chief engineer. That's funny, man. All right. Well, guys, let's see. Oh, so we've been going a little bit longer than I thought. We're at the 2 hour and 15 minute mark. All right. Yeah, we'll wrap it up here. This was a bit of a strange episode, a strange stream. But I do appreciate you guys tuning in. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll start spreading the streams out a little bit. I'm not sure yet. I did mean to talk a little bit more. Yeah, I know you're probably right though. Because I was worried about that too. I'm like, this is some new information about PlayStation Studios, but I'm at risk of just kind of basically covering a topic that I've covered, probably no joke, like 25 times this year so far. So I guess this stream ultimately ran the risk of being overly redundant, but I don't know. You guys kind of went in some interesting directions here. So this will be where we conclude it. Before I head out, guys, we have another one from Digital Dude. This is what the next hour is going to be apparently for Digital Dude. Walter's wagon wheel went westward with a wobbly whirl. Yancey yanked the yellow yarn from Yolanda's yard. That was smooth. That one. I think that one was smooth. Rich Rod, bro. I'm not reading any from Rich Rod. I'm letting you know now. I'm not reading any from you because I'm pretty sure there's just going to be something messed up. We did. We talked about it for about the first hour. I guess this is just like one of those streams where it's like the first hour and a half are just, we're talking the topic, we're talking gaming. And then after that, it's just now I don't know where we're talking about anything. Who knows where we're going? Read Rich Rod's. Wacky Wanksta's wildly waltz, wearing worn out wristwatches with wasted walls, whispering whines while wishing for wealth, but Wanksta's winks won't win without stealth. Richard, did you seriously make that up yourself? Like, there's just like no way. You had that. You had to have been thinking about that for the last like 15 minutes. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. All right, guys. We're just so far off the rails. Makes no sense. No. Rich has had that. He had that one pent up inside him, you know? He's been building that one up for years. Rich Rod is the lyrical genius of our generation. All right, guys. I'm ending the stream. That's it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to everybody who dropped a super chat, dropped some memberships. Really appreciate the support. Oh my God, he won't. Digital Dude, every time he's like waiting. Dude, every time I'm about to end the stream, Rich Rod's like, hold on, I got one more super chat. I'm reading it and we're packing it up. Digital Dude 25. 6 sick hicks. Nick 6 slick bricks with picks and sticks. Nailed it. That one, I didn't like that one because I felt like I'm half a second away from saying something bad. Like that one, that was the only one I've read so far that felt kind of wrong. I'm not going to lie. But there we go. All right, guys, that does it. I'm wrapping this up. Digital Dude, if you have more, save them for the end of next stream. But hit the like button on your way out, guys. And I did put a video out earlier, so you can go check that out. But that wraps up. Wait, what? No, Rich. Oh my God. I'm out. I'm out, bro. Rich Rod's out here like he's like got all these saved up. Dude, What is I'm losing subscribers, bro. People are like, I'm out. This ain't no PlayStation podcast. What the hell even is this? All right, guys, that does it. Enjoy the rest of your day. If Rich Rod happens to send a super chat after, or not Rich Rod, Rich Rod or Gaming Survivor, if they happen to send super chats after I end the stream, I'll have to read them at the beginning of the next stream. All right, guys, that does it. Enjoy the rest of your day. Shout out to Devil Shooter for doing the timestamps. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care, everyone.